So, hospital overcrowding. I know it's a terrible topic to talk about, but I suppose it has to be talked about because if things are not talked about, things are forgotten. And as they say, history repeats itself, so it could get 10 times worse if we forget about it or we don't pass any marks on it. Like, hospital overcrowding in this country is a disgrace. And I seen a post from somebody saying the government is spending 50 million on this, that, and the other. And no, it's not in hospitals or it's not on anything to do with the state, it's to do with them or it's to do with the Houses of Parliament or the government buildings. I really don't know. I didn't really read into it that much, but they're spending 50 million on something that is probably utterly ridiculous. That's not even needed, to be honest with you, for them. Like, this, and I'm really not going to deny it that it's not a national emergency because it is a national emergency. Uh, I do take people who lived in this country for decades and their families have lived here for decades and decades and decades, for generations and generations and generations. And at their time of need, no matter if they're old or young, we are as a country letting men, old women, young men, young boys and young girls and even, God forbid, children, toddlers, we're letting them sit in corridors on hospital trolleys. And we, as a people, must say to the government that we pay high taxes, we do our best for our country, we want our citizens to have health, and we want our citizens to be healthy. But at the way it's going, if a disease like a famine or I know famine sounds very ridiculous, but it could. You never know what could happen nowadays. A famine or like a disease like Ebola came onto Ireland, the HSC would just collapse in a day. And I'm not saying that lightly. If a war happened in the morning, and God forbid, please God, it would never happen, if between England and some other country, and Ireland gets bombed because they think it's England, as happened in World War Two, we would not be able to cope with 70 to 80,000 casualties because that's really if we were bombed by any country, because weapons of mass destruction caused more harm than any bombs that were made in World War Two. But that's off topic, to be honest. But I'm just kind of putting in comparison. If something like that did happen, the whole HSE just collapsed. And basically, it's collapsing already, but it just plummeted in about 10 minutes. Like, it is a disgrace. Like, my father, myself, went into hospital last week and he had to stay a night because he had to do blood tests and this, that, and loads of tests, and he was left in what was it? What was he left in? He was left in the janitor's closet, basically closet, because there was no room for him in the corridor, so they just fired him into the closet. I mean, he had a bed; it was big enough, like it was that small. Uh, but it was just because it was a closet and there was loads of mops and everything everywhere. It was like a bit of a joke, if you come to think of it. Like, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, why? I don't. I really don't get it. If that was person Michael D. Higgins, he'd be getting a, the whole fucking corridor to himself. To be honest, he'd be getting a whole room to himself. He'd be getting a whole nearly hospital to himself. That's nearly the way it would go. But why is the only people who pay his wages and pay the Minister for Health's wages, Simon Howes, and the other ministers in the Department of Health? I don't get it, and I really don't get it. Like, I honestly am upset enough looking at people lying on trolleys and everything. Like, the only reason why I didn't go in to visit my father, I was going to go in that evening, But the only thing I said to myself was, I'm not going in there to get myself annoyed, because at that stage, I think it was on the local radio that there was, I think they said there was 20 something people waiting on beds at Calvin General Hospital. 28, wasn't it? 28 people, and my father was one of them, so basically they had no space. They only had about space for 17 people on the corridor in accident emergency. Yeah, so it was a bit of a, it was absolutely disgrace, but lucky I wasn't there, because I would have just wailed on one of the head doctors or something, because literally that is, I don't even know what you would call. Would you call this a republic? I call this nearly some kind of communist dictatorship, because that's literally what I'm looking at the republic as. Because I don't know, I really don't know, and the future looks very dark if we're just going to keep going on like this. Like, I don't want to talk about this more than the cat in the moon. I love to just say our hospital services are OP. Like, the nurses and doctors, they do very, very their best. But it's just the state that's letting them down in the end. Like, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how to fix it, and I don't know what the government can do to fix it. Like, they could throw all the money at the world in the world at them, but I don't think money will fix it. I think I don't know what will fix it, but I don't think money will fix it anyway. Anyway, thank you for watching. Uh, I can't really say subscribe more, because I'm not really in the mood to even. Because after seeing some pictures I've seen today of people out in trolleys, it's just sickening. It's just sickening to look and see that the ministers and the government sleep in their beds, and oh, it's, to be honest, it's just a disgrace. Goodbye.